Game on.
Hey, Drunken Master Paul here, and you are watching Glen's Retro Show on YouTube. And if you didn't know that already, you're more confused than I am. Go pour yourself another drink and come on back and enjoy the show. He's got a lot of great stuff here, and don't leave. I saw you, you over there in the back. Yeah, I saw you thinking about switching over to Metal Jesus. Don't do that. Glen's got a lot of cool stuff here. Yeah, stick around.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining me on today's edition of Glen's Retro Show. We are going to talk today a little bit about the Legends Ultimate here by AtGames, but not what you would have purchased from AtGames and you came with your Legends Ultimate. One of the things that is kind of nice about the Legends Ultimate is the light up marquee area. I myself was never a huge fan of the style of it, but it's nice that it did include a light up marquee. A lot of people just change the artwork and they're done with it. But I'm going to talk a little bit about today something I got from my buddy Linke, who designed something for this machine. It's an active marquee. You can basically use a smartphone, your PC, Pi, or other device to change artwork based on the game or show some animations. So let's do a quick unboxing. I just got it the other day. We're going to take a look at it together. We'll put it in and see how it operates. Let's have a look at the active display from Linke. So here's the box I received from which you would get as well. Now the kit basically comes in two forms, an assembled version and an unassembled version. The assembled version, of course, costs a little bit more. And let's see what we have in here. I'm going to just open this guy up here very carefully. One thing we can see is it's got a lot of bubble wrap in here, so it's very safe in its transport, which is always a good thing. And if we can see here, the box actually was damaged in shipping right here, but nothing was affected inside because of all this really good bubble wrap. And this is a beautiful thing. We'll start with the small stuff. We have a power supply that we'll need to power the device, a little cord, and a really nice, look at that, fully assembled display. That is very, very nice. So if we look at the front here, there's basically different panels that will illuminate on a piece of plexiglass on the back. You can see that right here. You'll be very careful in holding it here. And in the back, it does have an engraved Pixlecade LED marquee for Legends Ultimate. Now I believe this is only the second one made. There was one other made that went out to a customer of his. So this is the only second one that he's made, and it looks really nice. I mean, the control board on here looks really, really nice. The wiring is all done. But let me get this in a better position so we can take a much better look at it than me just holding it here like this. Okay, so here's the entire kit unboxed. Again, everything is very well packaged from And we start at the top here. Again, we got our power supply right here. And I believe this does run on, this is actually running on 5 volts. But it says 5 volts and 10 amps. So that's pretty good here. And you want to make sure you do use this power supply, because a power supply from the Legends Ultimate or an arcade 1-up or something else will probably fry the device. You don't want that. You definitely want to use the power supply that comes with the kit. We've got a power cord here. And again, we have an old USB A to A style cable, some screws, and it looks like a little adapter here for the micro SD card slot that goes inside the Pixlecade itself. And we have here just a secondary longer USB A to USB A, which is very good. And what's kind of neat about this cable, I believe that the Legends Ultimate today released a firmware update which lets you connect your computer directly to the Legends Ultimate USB port to use it as a joystick, and you would need a USB A to USB A cable. So if you buy one of these, you already have a cable for that as well. Again, we have this is going to be a smoked plexiglass cover that's basically going to go over these LEDs like this. You got to take the paper off, obviously, on both sides. It's to protect it, but this will be covered. So this will be on like this, and that's what those extra screws are going to be for. And then this is your active area. All these cubes here basically light up. Now what's really interesting about this, he's using the same type of squares or computer parts here that you would see in, they say, Madison Square Garden. We have those really big televisions outside, or those signs on billboards that light up. It's the same type of panels. So these are extremely robust, they're bright, and they'll last a really long time. These are designed, again, to be used outdoors on these big signs that run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there's basically 1, 2, 3, 4 panels on here that'll go on your Legends Ultimate for AtGames. Let's take a look at the other side real quick once again. So I'm going to flip it over here, and this is actually how it would sit in your machine. So we have here our power connector for our power pack we talked about earlier. We have the plexiglass on the back, a bunch of screws holding it together. The wires are all tied together very well, and each panel, I guess, is connected via these cables right here. It's got a small computer system here that basically talks to everything. Now, one thing that's optional is this right here. This is a Bluetooth dongle, and that lets you use your smartphone. Right now, Android only. He doesn't have anything for iOS yet, but he said he's working on it. So with this Bluetooth dongle here, you can connect with an Android app to change the screens that are on here. Or he does have a new version now with Hyperspin. If you connect this to a Hyperspin PC, as you select the games, it can change the artwork for you. And not only that, it can be used as a DMD for virtual pinball, which I think is amazing. It looks really, really good. And again, that's this right here for the Bluetooth. And there is a micro SD card slot, which I assume you put the artwork in. And I was right, there's actually 1, 2, 3, and it's probably one in 4 to control the panels. So this is something, again, this came pre-built by Al for me, but you can buy it as a kit, which means you basically assemble all this yourself. He's got a video, it's not very hard to do, and you can save a couple bucks in doing so. So I guess the next thing to do right now is to start taking apart the Legends Ultimate and remove the Marquee from it and put Al's in its place. So that's probably the next thing we're going to start doing. So let's get started. There's something you always want to do before you ever start assembling it, is test to make sure it works. And this thing looks great. I'm going to look at it right now. I'm assuming the camera's picking it up as well. The LEDs on here are very, very bright, very colorful. You can see that. I mean, the camera might be making it too bright, but that looks really, really great. It's not going to be a high resolution LCD. It's never was supposed to be that. It's more similar to like the DMDs of the virtual pinball, but they do it in color. As a matter of fact, the virtual pinball DMDs, a lot of them were redone in color because of things like Al has here. And it looks really, really good. Again, it's going to look even better because there will be a piece of plexiglass over this that is colored. But right now it's just cycling through images that are on the SD card. And another good fact to know is you can create your own artwork for here. It's not preset ones. And also it has animations. So I talked to Allison, how many frames can you have? He goes, as big as your SD card can handle it. So you can have basically Pac-Man running back and forth here, a spaceship going across here, Star Wars, lightsabers, anything you could think about. If you're a little talented with drawing, you can make your own artwork on here. And this thing just really looks great. And again, the panels are sectional. The panels are basically, here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these can be made larger or smaller. So if you want to use this on an arcade 1-up, he actually converted his Mortal Kombat to have this display. It looks really, really good. Obviously, this one's going in the AtGames Legends Ultimate. But barcades, pretty much anything that you want, Al can basically make it for you. And if you talk to him, he's very open to ideas for other ways to use his stuff here. But again, this looks great, but I think it's going to look even better when it gets put on the machine. And again, this can be controlled by your cell phone, changing the artwork, or if the program, there's APIs, which is application programming interface. And he has that so we can make it work with things like Hyperspin. And I've been talking to AtGames, and I think this would be a great thing for their Legends Ultimate to basically cycle through the built-in games or games you add on and have the API from AtGames work with this. So leave comments down below if you want to see AtGames officially support Al's Marquee here. I think this thing would be a great, I mean, look how beautiful that looks. That looks amazing. Oh, that looks great. So again, I really hope that AtGames will see the value of this and add it to something that's supported directly by their built-in computer. So as you cycle through the built-in games or games you add on afterwards, the artwork will know and make the change on the display. I think that would be great. But enough of me talking about it. Let's get this thing installed. Okay, so obviously we're going to be working on the Marquee, so we need to remove the one from the Legends Ultimate. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws that we need to take out. So let me get started on that. Okay, we took out our 6 screws, and this really should just come right off, and it sure does. Gotta bend it a little bit to get it out. There we go. So this is basically what you're going to be taking off initially, so we're going to put this aside for now. So you see in here the hole for the opening that the light bar is coming through here has quite a bit of wood still in its wake. If you look at the original Marquee here, you can see there's a good portion of it. I'd say it's probably a good 1.5 inches on top and bottom that's not allowing the light to shine through. It's still nice that they included a light up Marquee at all. A lot of people don't do that, but I think they could have made this better by simply making this thinner and using a little clip here, like a nice chrome piece here and here that's screwed in to hold it in versus screwing it in, because also the screws didn't look very nice either. I didn't like having the screws being shown there. But in any case, that part's off. Next part is we need to figure out how we're going to put this new Linke Marquee on here and disable the light bar that's behind it, because you're not going to need that anymore, and run some cables. So let's get started on that. Actually, before we go to the next step, when we look at this again, you can see that a good portion, as I said a moment ago, of the Marquee is not going to be lit up because the wood behind it's covering it. But if you now look at the one that Al has here, when you put this in place, you can see that the entire unit is the display. So your entire area here will be able to light up versus just that small area there. So you can see how much of a difference of a display you're going to have versus this area that's open versus this entire display board going basically side to side. And you can see that there is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screw holes. We're only going to be using this one, that one, and that one. These two will not be used. But this acrylic has already been pre-drilled. There's a hole right there and right there on both sides. So let's get started on how we're going to get this mounted. We need to run a wire through here and do the other work I mentioned a moment ago. So let's get started on that. Okay, so I basically turned my machine around, and we're going to have to get access to this back panel here, basically to disable the light bar that's in there, run some cables through, and figure out how we're going to run power out, because this does run on its own power supply. Now on the back of the unit, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws we got to take out of here. So I'll get started on that. What's kind of nice is that it is very easy to get into all the different areas of this machine. I mean, it is a big machine. It's a full size, or pretty close to a full size machine, but it does come in part 2 separate sections. I mean, you can actually take this bottom off and make this a tabletop, bar top arcade, or make your own bottom, or do whatever you want. But for right now, we do need access to this area. So time to get my screwdriver once again and get started removing screws. This should just basically pull back. Now again, be careful because you do have wires in here. Now fortunately, when I bring this down, it's very easy to remove the Ethernet cable. The power cord is glued in here, but that might still come out. Let me see if I can wiggle that out. I was, there we go. We're not losing anything or breaking anything. There we go. So that's it. So those 2 cords are removed here. So now we have access to everything back here. And basically you have your light bar here. That's just really the plastic of the LEDs held between a couple of brackets. So we're just going to unscrew these brackets and we can take it out. Comes down, you have your 2 speakers here on the back of the unit, which I found the speakers to be adequate. I haven't had a problem with them. And then you have your, I think it's a 23-inch display, which you have right here. It's held in also with some L brackets. So this machine is very easy to work on. You can get access to pretty much all the different areas in here. The cables can be a bit of a cluttering thing, but that's the price you pay for having easy access to everything. You can disconnect stuff, get access to them very easily. Another project I might want to do in the future is I may want to transplant the brains of the controller area, which is the the main CPU, and transplant that in here. This way we can actually take the control panel out and make interchangeable control panels. That was my idea way back in the day, but AtGames was too far along their product cycle to accommodate that. But I think we've come up with a kit to pretty much have all these wires for the main CPU be placed in here, and we just have maybe a USB port there that'll click in and have your controls work that way. Leave me some notes down in the comments if you think that's a good idea, something that the Glen's Retro Show product should come out for the AtGames Legends Ultimate. But in any case, I'm going to take a look at this for a second. It's the first time I'm actually in here, and I'm going to see what's going to be the best way to remove this and make the modifications. So I'll be back in just 1 second when I do a little thinking. Hey guys, since I had this open anyway, I thought I'd just give you a closer view, because I'm sure not everyone has seen the back of the unit here. So we'll start at the top again. We have the light bar, which is coming across right here. And again, it's very easy to take out. It's just a screw here and a screw on the other side, and this light bar will come right out. We can follow the wires down. We're going to have to undo some of these zip ties to get the wires out properly. But again, our speakers, the speakers are screwed in. So you can always replace these speakers if you didn't like it and change it out. The monitor, once again, it's a decent monitor. Actually, I think it's a very good monitor when you look at the graphics on it. Held in with just very simple L brackets. So again, very easy to work on the machine here. As we come further on down, you can see here is our control board for the monitor here with the HDMI port on it. And you know, it's a lot of room in here. There's a lot of room you can definitely do modifications to. And here's your controller area where you have your your Wi-Fi antenna and everything else. And you can see right over here, here is the actual Wi-Fi antenna right here on the side. And it's got tons of room in here. It's screwed together very well, and it's very easy to work on. So I'm just going to plan out how I'm going to run the display. I think the only issue we really have is we're going to have to make a small hole somewhere on this back panel here, or in that plastic here, just to run power to it. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that, because this does require different voltages than the Legends does, and you have to use Al's power supply. So I'll be back in just a minute after I see what's going to be the best way to do that. Okay guys, just after looking at this for a minute or two, you do not even have to remove this bar. I'm going to leave this thing in here. It's not necessary to take this out at all. All I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it in place. We'll go down here to the TV board. Right in this spot here, this is supplying, I believe, 12 volts to the light up marquee that comes built in. Just really have to take this glue off and unplug this one connector. So you can always put it back. You don't have to worry about storing the LED bar somewhere. It's not going to be in any way, shape, or form interfering when you put in Al's unit. So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to take off the glue off of this one little spot right here. It's one connector by itself. You can tell the difference between the other two, which are your two speakers, which are down here. So this one right here, just going to take off some of this glue, pop this off, and the light up marquee will not be illuminating from the back. You don't have to take anything out. And then we can simply slide in Al's new display. Very, very simple, very, very quick and easy, which is sometimes better than getting more crazy and complicated. So I'm going to take off that glue and disconnect it and get started putting the machine on the front. Okay, so didn't even have to take the glue off, but you have to be very careful. I would recommend taking off the glue. If you wiggle it a little bit and be very careful, you can see this comes right out. And that's it. The glue's still holding it in place actually right there, which is fine, but it's disconnected. So now the marquee will not illuminate. So I'm going to turn this machine back around and just mount the actual marquee from Al. And so we can take a look at how we're going to wire it from the back. So I do have to turn this thing back around. So I'll be right back. Okay, so the next thing to do is to actually mount the Al Link board to our Legends. And we can reuse the screws that were used here before. So I just got to find out what I did with my screwdriver, which I happen to have right here. And we're just going to simply reuse the screws and put this thing back up. There is a power cord in the back here. We just have to make sure that that's going through the hole first. And then simply putting it in place, lining up the holes, and putting in the screws. And obviously something like this would be easier with two people, but I generally don't have a second person available. My son Cole's too busy doing his Minecraft or Fortnite, which is fine. So line up our screw. And it's just that simple. I'm not going to tighten it all the way just yet. I want to make sure I get the screws in both sides. And the plexiglass in the back is laser cut.
Heat beam, which we called a laser.
Say what?
He sends them out to have that done, and all the holes match up perfectly. I'm not tightening them all the way just yet. And now that I know that all my screws are fitting in the holes properly, I'll have 2 extra, which were the 2 center ones, which we're not going to need for here. So I'm going to tighten them again, not super tight, just hand tight, because it's an acrylic, you don't want to crack it. But you'll know when you start to feel a little resistance, that's enough. You don't have to go any further than that. You can see there's no motion, that's perfect. That's it. So basically you've just mounted it. Now there's still a plexiglass cover that's to go over the top, but I'll put that on afterwards so you can see how it looks before and after with the additional plexiglass cover on it. So I'm going to take the 2 screws and move out of the way because they're not going to be used. Now we have to go back to the back of the unit to hook up the power cord. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, now we have the unit turned around to the back, and the only thing we really need to do is hook up this power cord. Now on the board itself, I'll get a shot in a second, but you can see under here you have full access to the board, and you won't really need to touch it too much. You pretty much have it set up the way you want and go. Right now, I have it set up with a little Bluetooth dongle he included, and with that Bluetooth dongle, you can control the display from your cell phone. Currently just Android at the moment, or an Android OS. He's working on iOS, but right now it's not available. But when you have it set to Bluetooth, there's a switch. You set it to Bluetooth mode, and that's how it's going to connect. The only time you have to really touch that is if you decide to use what he also included, which is a USB A to A cable. So it's the same connector on both sides. And that's when you would remove the Bluetooth connector on there, and there's a little switch to go from Bluetooth to USB, and you'll connect it to your PC or Raspberry Pi, and then your computer would control the artwork. Now I know I'll put some images down below to some emulators that currently work with it, like Lunchbox, Launchbox, things along those lines. I know he's working on CoinOps, so basically as you pick the game, it'll change the display on here. But for right now, I'm not setting up in that video. This is really just an install video and kind of just show how I set it up. So I'm just going to hook up the power. So again, you want to make sure using his AC adapter. His AC adapter is 5 volts, but it's 10 amps. And you want to make sure that this is being used for the display and not getting power from anywhere else. So all you really need to do is hook this one thing up like so. And just find a spot to mount it. Now for right now, I'm going to not worry about the mounting on the back here right now. I want to basically start showing you how the display is going to look in this video. And again, you're going to have to make a small hole in the back of the panel here, because you do need to have the power cord coming out from back here for this. That's the only solution I can see right now, so I'll be back. Okay, so you can see how bright that is and how nice it looks. I mean, the install process of putting this in was very, very simple. Remove the old Marquee, basically use the same screws to put this one back in. You take off the back panel, run your power cord out, make a small hole in the back panel to run the power cord out. That's it. So now, enough looking at this. Next stage is the fun part, which is removing the plexiglass covers protective film, which I'm going to grab right here, right now. So you can see it comes well protected in this paper. It's always fun trying to get this stuff off. Hopefully it'll come up pretty good. And this will then go over that. So some of the exceptional brightness will be dispersed a little bit and make it look a little bit cleaner. So I'll be back as soon as I get this stuff off. Well, you know what? Let me try it. Maybe it'll come up quick and easy and I won't have to cut to another scene here. But generally this stuff really wants to stay on really good. And actually it looks like it may come up okay. May have gotten it already. that's how it's going to kind of look. I'll put this over here real quick. You can see how it kind of hides some of the harshness to it. It looks really, really good. Now, he did include a little thing of screws, which I have right over here. Sorry, he did include screws, which are in this bag right here. So we'll put this over here. I'm going to place this like this, just to get the screws out. Try and keep that as clean as possible. So he does include everything in the kit. So it's hard to see in the video right now, but if you look back, there are these little brass standoffs. So he's got these little like little hex screws that we will put in those spots. If I get the bag open. So these are small screws, just be careful, you want to lose them. So I have them right here, these just tiny little screws. So I gotta find a hex nut, hex wrench. You know what, I might have one right here. I'm not sure if it's the right size. Not quite. So I'll be back in 1 second. I gotta get a hex wrench that'll fit this size screw. I'll be right back. Okay, I got lucky. I found the hex wrench relatively easily. Usually I can never find anything. So that's a perfect size for that. So the next thing we need to do is just carefully finish removing the paper. Try to keep fingerprints, again, to the minimum. Okay, there's our plexiglass, and we need to finagle that in just such a way that I can cover these panels. And again, the panels being used on here, which is kind of interesting, these are the same panels you would see, say, at Madison Square Garden or in 42nd Street in New York City. Those big billboards that have these big TV sets. They're basically the same type of panels. So these panels are pretty rugged, waterproof, environment proof. So they're very, very high quality. So basically what we need to do is just line up the holes and get a couple of these screws in initially. As long as you get one in on each side, you should be okay to work on the rest. And again, you want to be very careful. Very gentle, hand tight. Don't tighten it too hard, you're going to crack the acrylic. Still have 2 more screws to put in, but you can see how well and nice that looks already. Where did I put my other screws? Ah, there they are. That's it for the install. That is it. So let's take a look at what we had here originally. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, but you can see it's now this whole area is being used. It's illuminated. It can be animated. You can put different artwork on here versus what was had here before. And you know what? This is something I may want to use to cover these speakers. I never like these speaker grills. And look at that. That might not be too bad repurposed. Like right there. And that might not be too bad for another thing. I think I like that. Something like that. So we still can reuse the marquee, and maybe I could even illuminate that. Ooh, another possible mod. There's always something that can be done. Okay, like I was saying earlier, there's a few ways to control the Pixelcade from Al. One way is over Bluetooth using a cell phone, right now Android only, or a tablet, as long as it's Android. Another way is to be controlled by software, like from Lunchbox or Launchbox, or hopefully AtGames will have an API that'll work with their machine. But I'm going to demonstrate right now using my cell phone. So there's a link to a program. It's called PixelCade Art, and when you start it up, it comes right into all these different little icons on here. Now you can see right here, I've already connected via Bluetooth. It's very easy to do, and it's saying select an image. So if I go here and I pick an image, now these are some pictures right now I just took. I didn't do any modifications to them. I just either downloaded them or took them myself. These ones anyway. So here's the the AtGames logo. Again, I would probably make this all black so the green would come out a lot more. But you can see you can do things like that, or change it to Legends Ultimate, or Joust. Again, these are images I took right off the internet. I haven't made any changes to them at all. Another one we can pick. Now you can do more than these static pictures here. There's Sega, asteroids. Even you can put your face on there. Believe it or not, that's my face, my son's face right there. But if you have it set up as like for pinball, you can do the DMD stuff for your pinball. You can see it's animated and multicolor, which is kind of neat. But you probably want to see some of the things on here that you can actually select. Here's another one I just like. This is a little animation. Now the animation take a second or two to come on there. This one I'll actually want to fix because that's not right. How they're doing the legs, that's driving me crazy. you do animations like that, or you could do something like, what else we have right here. You play, put Pop on here. Now I actually have Frogger right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick Frogger on the machine, and I should have Frogger on here as well. Now again, it would be nice for the machine to do this all by itself, but for right now I can do it from here. So when you're playing Frogger, you actually have the Frogger logo up there, and that's really nice, and the display is really good. And again, you can animate it. Other games you could do on here, so you can go out here quick, really like so. I found another game on here that's pretty popular. Well, we have Gorf. So I'll pull up Gorf there. And of course you have your marquee change. Again, it'd be nice if AtGames has the API working with Al in here, so as soon as you pick that game, this would come up automatically. But right now, it's still not too bad. I don't mind doing it. I just like how that looks. I like how large it is and how bright it is when you're playing the game. Let's try another one right here. Another popular one we'll pull up right here. Gotta find it on my machine. Like some Miss Pac-Man, and again, you have your logo set up right there. Now, what's kind of neat too is you can do that. You can also, like I said, animate them as well. And I was going to see if I can find one of the animation ones down here. The animations may take a second or two to download, but even on Bluetooth, it's not too bad when it crosses over. Your phone has a little indicator. There we go. So when you're playing it, you can have an animation going. And again, you can design your own animations. There's a program called Linke, and you can make your own pictures or animations, and the animations can be pretty much as large as you want. Al said there wasn't really a limitation to it. You can change that a little bit more if you want to have a slightly different logo on that one as well. But again, there's all different icons you can use on here, and again, you can add your own. But I was going to go through a couple here that's included when you download the program in here, so you can see them. We have Jungle Hunt, Mr. Do. A lot of people like this game, Nibbler, and it's animated, which is kind of nice. Rally X. What else do we have on here? Some big ones. Oh, this is a good one. Space Ace. Everyone loves some Space Ace. Altered Beast. And again, the display is just really, it's nice. I mean, it looks nice having this whole thing in here. Now you see there's only 2 screws on each side. They're out of the way. There's nothing here in the middle. I didn't like those screws sitting kind of in the middle of the machine. What else do we have here? We'll go through a couple more. So it's very easy. It's almost instantaneous. I'll tell you when I'm hitting a button, and you'll see it come on the screen there. So let's find another one here. We want to do pressing button now. It's pretty much instantaneous. These files are so small. And again, there's all different kinds of icons on here. Burger time. So again, it's just really nice even just going through them. Even if the machine is turned off, you can have that on, displaying all these different things on here. I mean, some of these are really nice. And again, you can design your own. People are making them as well. So again, it's just very simple. And this is just using my phone, not being done through the applications, which can, of course, be done from within the machine, as long as it's configured properly. So there's literally all different kinds of icons on here. You can go all, just keep going. So you can keep adding to it. So that's kind of, just want to share that real quick, how simple that was with your cell phone to make the changes. Another cool thing is just that this can work as a DMD for virtual pinball. So some of those are actually installed in here as well. I believe this is from the Indiana Jones pinball game. Yep, melting their faces off. Always a classic scene to put on there. So what's kind of nice, the DMDs for the pinball, a lot of these have been adjusted to be in color, which is kind of nice. And of course, you can put things on here that are totally unrelated as well. Just I forgot to see that one. I gotta put that one on. It's one of my favorite games. Boom. Good old Zaxxon. Just happened to see that going by. So again, that's all I wanted to kind of show in this video, was just the install. It's very, very easy to do. It just takes a little bit of your time. There's nothing that is permanently modified in here other than disconnecting the power cord for the old Marquee and taking the other one out. You're still even using most of the same screws. So it's a very simple thing to add, and it has a lot of potential. One of the things you can also do as well is if you have a pinball emulation going, this could be used as a DMD for that. And not only that, he's even had people colorize those DMDs so they look even better than they did in the pinball machine. So again, for this particular video, that's all I wanted to show you, putting this thing in. In future videos, I'll be showing more of how it's actually set up with different emulators and different front ends. And hopefully AtGames will also support it directly, and I could show you this thing working with a firmware update from AtGames. So I want to thank you all for joining me on today's edition of Glen's Retro Show, and I want to really thank Linke for sending this in for review and testing. And I can't wait to show you guys more as I get this thing more configured to the machine, where you can actually have it change to the different machines. Now, I'll show you real quick one time if I can find my phone again to put over here. As soon as you disconnect it from the Bluetooth, it should revert back to its normal run of front ends. Now, these graphics are mostly, I think, done by Al himself. On his website, I'll put a link down below, he's being very open with other people being able to make new designs. It even shows you how you can take the original artwork and using Photoshop or another, maybe GIMP, or something along those lines, to changing the original artwork to work more with these color schemes. But I think it's a really nice, elegant solution, and again, it works just as well as an AtGames machine or an arcade 1-up. He actually has his installed in a Mortal Kombat arcade 1-up. But even in tabletops, he can go bigger or smaller with these panels. So it's very customizable. And I personally, I think that looks really, really cool. Even if I didn't change it to anything else, just to have these things displaying on the top, I think it looks great. So again, I want to thank you all for watching. Look forward to seeing you for future videos on this display. But in the meantime, remember everyone, game on.
At the Tiny Arcade fan page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit. Good dog.